The idea of a green anaconda in Florida captures people's imaginations because it blends one of the world's most massive and intimidating snakes with a state already famous for invasive reptiles. But the reality is more nuanced, fascinating, and grounded in ecology, climate, and human behavior. The green anaconda, Eunectes murinus, is native to South America, particularly the Amazon and Orinoco river basins, where it thrives in slow-moving rivers, swamps, flooded forests, and wetlands, growing to extraordinary sizes that can exceed 20 feet in rare cases and weigh well over 200 pounds, making it the heaviest snake species on Earth. Florida, with its subtropical climate, extensive wetlands like the Everglades, and long history of exotic pet ownership, often seems like a plausible place for green anacondas to establish themselves, especially given the successful spread of other large constrictors such as the Burmese python. Over the years, there have been occasional reports and rumors of green anacondas being spotted in Florida, sometimes fueled by social media, misidentifications, or sensational headlines, but verified evidence of a breeding, established population of green anacondas in the wild remains extremely limited. Wildlife agencies, including the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, or FWC, acknowledge that individual green anacondas have occasionally been found or captured, usually linked to escaped or released pets, yet these instances appear to be isolated rather than signs of a self-sustaining population. One major factor limiting the spread of green anacondas in Florida is climate tolerance. Although Florida is warm, it still experiences colder winters and occasional cold snaps that can be lethal to tropical reptiles that evolved in consistently warm, equatorial environments, whereas Burmese pythons have demonstrated a greater ability to survive short periods of cooler temperatures. Additionally, green anacondas are highly aquatic and rely heavily on large, stable bodies of fresh water. And while Florida does have extensive wetlands, the specific ecological conditions of South American floodplains are not perfectly replicated, which may reduce their ability to thrive long-term. Despite this, the mere possibility of green anacondas in Florida raises legitimate ecological concerns because of their size, strength, and generalist diet. In their native range, they prey on fish, birds, mammals such as capybaras and deer, reptiles including caimans, and virtually any animal they can overpower and swallow, meaning that if they were to establish a population in Florida, they could pose a significant threat to native wildlife, already stressed by habitat loss and other invasive species. Florida's ecosystems have already been profoundly affected by invasive reptiles, with Burmese pythons contributing to dramatic declines in populations of raccoons, opossums, rabbits, and other mammals in parts of the Everglades, and the introduction of another apex constrictor could further destabilize food webs. Public fascination with green anacondas is also closely tied to fear and myth, often exaggerating the risk they pose to humans. While green anacondas are powerful and can be defensive, attacks on humans are extremely rare even in their native habitats, and they generally avoid people when possible, though their sheer size ensures they remain symbols of primal danger in popular culture. The pet trade has played a central role in the conversation about green anacondas in Florida, as the species has long been sold as an exotic pet despite being wildly unsuitable for most private owners due to its rapid growth, immense strength, specialized care requirements, and potential danger, leading some owners to release them intentionally when they become unmanageable, a practice that has contributed to Florida's broader invasive species crisis. In response, Florida has enacted increasingly strict regulations on the ownership, sale, and transport of large constrictor snakes, including green anacondas, aiming to prevent future releases and reduce the risk of establishment in the wild. From a scientific standpoint, green anacondas in Florida also serve as a case study in how ecosystems respond to human-mediated species movement, highlighting the complex interplay between climate, habitat, species biology, and human decisions. Researchers use habitat suitability models, field surveys, and genetic analysis to assess whether Florida could realistically support a stable green anaconda population, and so far the consensus suggests that while short-term survival of individual snakes is possible, long-term establishment is unlikely without continuous releases. Nevertheless, climate change introduces uncertainty into these projections, as warming temperatures and altered precipitation patterns could gradually make parts of Florida more hospitable to tropical species that previously could not survive there, raising questions about future invasive risks. Beyond science and policy, the image of a green anaconda in Florida has become a cultural phenomenon, reflecting broader anxieties about environmental change, invasive species, and humanity's role in reshaping nature, often amplified by viral images and videos that blur the line between fact and fiction. Ultimately, the story of green anacondas in Florida is less about hordes of giant snakes lurking in swamps and more about prevention, responsibility, and ecological awareness, reminding us that even a small number of released animals can spark widespread concern, that invasive species management is far easier before a population is established, and that Florida's unique ecosystems, already under pressure, depend on careful stewardship to prevent the next potential ecological disruption, whether it slithers silently through the water or exists mainly in our collective imagination.